On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we navigated the end of the bye week for Mizzou football. We first talked about the two commitments that the Tigers got in the past few days. Kenny had a really good breakdown of both of those 4 stars that Mizzou added. He covered those commitments very extensively. So some good notes from him and about where Mizzou's class stands, kind of heading into the final months towards signing day. Then we just talked about Mizzou's upcoming opponents. We kind of re-predicted their last 7 games of the season, now knowing what we know about each of those teams, starting with Alabama, of course, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Arkansas A&M, and Mississippi State as well. And just kind of gave our record predictions, thoughts on Mizzou's playoff chances, opinions on all those teams, talk some broader SEC and college football stuff as well, just to recap the bye week. So good stuff there. And then we finished with quick hits. We had some Mizzou Hoops talk. Kenny gave his roundup from the pro day for Mizzou men's basketball, some good notes on Anwar Boateng and some other guys. From that, talked a little Mizzou volleyball and about the Penn State UCLA loss on the gridiron as well. So great show to get you into the week. We'll have some guests for the Alabama preview. So that should be good for your Friday to get you set for a huge game coming up this coming Saturday for Mizzou. So won't dilly-dally any further. Let's get right into it. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule, presented by FanDuel. Today is Monday, October 6th, and it was a calm week of college football. No, it was not. It was chaos, and thankfully, Mizzou is not part of the chaos in any sort of way, good or bad, because they were on bye. We're going to talk about some Mizzou scheduling stuff, the future opponents upcoming for the rest of their schedule. Because Mizzou is on bye, we have no game to recap. I have some broader SEC national college football things to talk to you guys about as well. So we're going to do that to fill the gap with the bye week. But first, we do have some football news for Mizzou. They were not out of the headlines in the football realm, despite being on bye. They got a pair of commitments in the last couple of days that we're going to talk about to start the show. A couple of 4 stars. They got a linebacker, a couple of 4 stars, one out of Arkansas, one out of Alabama. They got a linebacker out of Alabama by the name of J.J. Bush. He's listed as the number 307 player, the number 20 linebacker, and the number 15 ranked player in the state of Alabama out of Theodore High School. Shout out to Theodore. Former Arkansas commit, decommitted in the past week or so after Sam Pittman and their DC were fired. And then the other one, a 4-star running back, TJ Hodges. He is listed as the number 270 overall player, the number 20 running back, and the number 3 player in the state of Arkansas out of Bryant High School. So, Kenny, I will throw it over to you first to give your breakdown and thoughts on both of these commitments. I know you wrote about them. Mizzou going and taking a previous Arkansas commit and a player from Arkansas's backyard. A bit of a 2-for-1 if you want to spin it like that. But what were your thoughts on the Tigers getting both of these ads here in Bush and Mr. Hodges?
Bush was a little bit of a surprise, kind of popped up really unexpectedly on Friday. I didn't really expect maybe Missouri to circle back on him when he decommitted earlier in the week following the news around the Arkansas staff and where the future was going with the Razorbacks. But Mizzou really liked J.J. Bush for a long time. It started with Jacob Yora, or really started with Corey Batoon, who had connections to Alabama, offered him initially. But we can go even further back than that. Derek Nicholson, the linebackers coach for Missouri, was the first Division I coach to offer J.J. Bush in 2024 when he was still at Miami. So that relationship goes back a long time, and JJ's been saying it for a while. He sees Derek Nicholson as like, a father figure off the field. If he ended up not going to Mizzou at one day, he would still have that relationship with D-Nick, and they would have, a pretty good connection moving forward. And I think that's something that always kind of resonated well with JJ. It looked like at one point in June, after his official visit, he was in that late May, early June official visit weekend, the first one of the summer. Looked like he was going to go to Mizzou. I mean, everything was trending that way. It sounded like that from people within the program. He still took his OVs to LSU, Cincinnati, and Arkansas, and ended up choosing Arkansas in the end. And now he's going to Missouri, and he seems pretty locked in. You can always be a little bit worried about someone who's had to decommit or had leanings different ways for most of the summer. But he's been pretty excited so far on Twitter, saying that Missouri's not done yet. It's been a good stretch. You get 3 Rivals 300 players in the number 2 JUCO recruit in the past 2 weeks. I think Mizzou is feeling pretty good right now on the recruiting trail. With I'll say with JJ Bush too. He's a second linebacker commit. D-Nick was really looking for that second linebacker. On3 is On3 and Rivals is the only network that has him ranked nationally at 195 in the On300. So he's going to pair well with Keenan Harris and Stater, both very versatile guys. They were both seen at safeties at one point in their recruitments, now both seen as linebackers. It seems like they have a trend for really athletic, versatile guys that can cover in the slot, not be afraid to move into coverage. And so maybe there's another guy out there that maybe they want a big enforcer linebacker, especially in the transfer portal. You maybe see something addressed there. But at the high school ranks right now, they really like these versatile, athletic guys that can move around and be comfortable in space. With TJ Hodges, he was someone that wanted to make his mind up after his official visit in early June. And, he went to Arkansas as well. Other schools were involved, at some points for like Oregon and then Baylor and Louisville more recently, and Oklahoma State at one point too. But, he got some things cleaned up just, off the field and got really settled and ready to commit. And he transferred from a small town in Mark Tree, which had about 2,000 people in this city, and went to Bryant for his senior year. And it was a very hard decision, according to his stepfather. I spoke to him, Lucas London, and really explained to how they thought Bryant gave him the tools and everything he needed to be prepared to be an early contributor if he went to college, because that was one of the big things that TJ was really all about, is that he wanted to be an early contributor in any facet, just how he can get on the field and just, hit somebody, make an impact, get the ball in his hands. And Missouri kind of offered that. Al Davis was heavily involved here for a long time until he left in May, and Curtis Looper, Eli Drinkwitz, the rest of the offensive staff really picked it up and figured that one out. And they got their second running back. That seems like it's all set there. Maxwell Warner's pretty locked in. You got TJ Hodges locked in. Someone close to TJ Hodges said, they're glad it's just finally done. He's locked in with Missouri and they can kind of move forward just with the rest of his senior season. And one of the big things about TJ Hodges that I liked, and just the story, is that he was a very big church guy, but he also plays the drums. He's been playing the drums forever. And so that was something big that he related to with Al Davis before Al Davis left. They were both, from small towns and, went to church, but were very big into music. And that was something his dad said. But they was just kind of overcoming that small town notion. Someone even posted on our message board, I've been to Mark Tree. People don't, really make it out of Mark Tree as athletes. There just really there aren't people coming to see you. And sometimes it's not the best competition. And, he kind of made it out. And heck, the top running back in the nation right now came out of a small town, and his name's Ahmad Hardy, and he plays for Missouri. I'm not saying that's going to be TJ Hodges, but there are, these players in these very tiny towns that are putting up these numbers and sometimes aren't seen. For TJ Hodges, though, he was seen for a while. He's a top 300 player in the nation now, according to Rivals, and at number 294 in the On300.
Yeah. Payton?
I just on Bush in particular. I was a little surprised that even happened, let alone as fast as it did, because the circus that his first recruitment cycle turned into kind of felt like it might turn a lot of teams off. That was just kind of a weird trio battle between Arkansas, LSU, and Mizzou. It felt like every school thought they had him at one point. But clearly, I think Missouri obviously thinks that he's going to be a heck of a player to have circled back so quickly. And Hodges, that's a name we've heard since around the time Warner committed. I remember Kenny was talking about how they were trying to get Hodges locked in as well. So very surprising one in JJ Bush, and a very not surprising one that it finally happened in Hodges, it seems like.
Yeah, with Hodges too, he visited for that Arkansas game. It felt like they tried to get every single top Arkansas recruit on campus for that November game in 2024, and really just kind of kept snowballing, into, more people getting involved. And once, he got everything ready for when he commit, Mizzou was just like that top option for him. He's more of an all-purpose guy too. I think that's we watched Warner's tape, and I even told Maxwell once, like, how you guys pointed out, like, you like to watch him more on defense than offense, just because he was just flying around hitting people and grabbing interceptions and just pass deflections. And he said, yeah, I love it too, but his future's at running back. I think TJ Hodges more maybe that all-purpose guy too. A little bit slimmer. I think Maxwell Warner will probably be one of those guys that can put on 200 easily and just run through someone. So I think it's a good dichotomy between the two guys that they have coming in, and it'll take time. I don't think either of them are probably gonna be like instant impact like Ahmad Hardy or Kawan Lacey last year. But maybe TJ Hodges might have that step up for what he can probably provide in multiple facets of the offense.
Yeah, two very intriguing prospects. It brings Mizzou's total commits in the class up to 14. Kenny, I'll only make you yap about one more thing. Just a thought on that now and where the class kind of stands as a whole. They're ranked, it looks like 38th according to Rivals in the team rankings, 12th in the SEC. What do you foresee in the kind of final months here? I know this is a bit of a home stretch. You don't have a ton of major guys left, but still certainly a lot of things can happen between now and signing day. What are you I guess kind of forecasting or seeing potentially for Mizzou in terms of adding numbers and where their class might wind up when we get to signing day?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know what number they'll finish in the SEC. They were 16th 2 weeks ago, and so now they're up to 12th. That's a good spot. At one point, they were 14th, and the two teams they had passed up were Mississippi State and Arkansas. Those are two schools that they took commits from, and Micah Nickerson, the edge rusher, in the Rivals 300, and then J.J. Bush, of course, from Arkansas, who decommitted, but Micah was the one who flipped from Mississippi State. So, they're in a good spot. One of the big things that I've been trying to, preach and tell people is that, once you miss on your top guy, you miss on your Evan Goodwin, you miss on your Sam Greer at offensive tackle, you're not really going to keep going down the list and maybe some guys that you don't see, ready to play in the SEC in 2 or 3 years, a little bit more development guys. And, it's not the same, this isn't Gary Pinkel's team. This isn't, and there's no slouch against them or Barry Odom. This is like, a national recruiting team now. Like Mizzou is trying to become a bigger brand. They are trying to extend to every part of the country. They only have one in-state recruit right now in committing Keenan Harris. And I don't think they'll have another one. I think other than Bryson Wessel, who's an offensive lineman center option that they're looking at Iowa State, that's the only other one who's an Iowa State commit. But I think they're in a good spot where, they're just circling back on maybe some top guys that still have communication open and looking at maybe another wide receiver, 1 or 2 offensive linemen. They need a corner, some interior defensive linemen, and then a safety. And I think you're in a good spot. So maybe something in that 5 to 7 range that would get you a little bit closer to 20. And I wouldn't be surprised if they kept it under 20 again this year.
You think 5 to 7 or maybe 6 to 7? What do you think on that?
I think 5 to 7 tells you 6 to 7 as well.
Okay, sure. All right. Yeah, good notes, Kenny. Two good ads there for Mizzou on the recruiting trail. Let's talk some SEC Mizzou future opponents. I didn't really come up with a formal name for this segment coming up, but it was Mizzou's bye week. I think it kind of allowed everyone to take a step back and look at not only the rest of the teams in the SEC that Mizzou is playing, but kind of where the landscape of this conference is, and I think it's really interesting because I don't think there's been more of an open race in the SEC that I can remember in a long, long time in terms of there is no, Alabama or Georgia Goliath at the top of it. And I think it makes for some really interesting conversation as to where Mizzou could fit into this with the rest of their season. We also, I'm bringing back the SEC tier list. I do have a brief layout that I will share with you guys at the end, but let's talk Mizzou specific first. Upcoming opponents, obviously, for the rest of the season. It feels like it just looks tougher and tougher on paper every single week. They're going to come off the bye. They're about to play Alabama on Saturday, an 11 a.m. game there. Mizzou is at home for that. By the way, on FanDuel, home dog. Let's do a quick guess the line. Mizzou is home dogs. That's what I'll give you.
4.5.
Okay. Kenny?
6.
Kenny
7.
wins. It's 5.5.
Okay. I heard it was 6 yesterday, so that's why I guess 6.
Okay.
Price is writing it because then I would be right. Kenny went over.
I don't Price is right. It's just close.
Dang it.
It's just close.
Dang it.
Those are my rules that I'm making up on the fly.
It's not fair.
just now. That's not fair. So Alabama is their first opponent, and actually, I'm going to check just for you, Payton. Oh, would you look at this? It moved since last night when I checked. What did you say, Payton?
4.5.
It is now Mizzou plus 4.5 at home. Still home
Yeah, I
dogs.
know
So
because I saw a
Payton
tweet
wins.
about it.
Oh, well. All right. The line moved. It was 5.5 last night when I checked on FanDuel, but it's now 4.5. So there you go. So you have Alabama coming up first. They just beat Vanderbilt. Mizzou's going to play at Auburn, then at Vanderbilt, home against Texas A&M, home against Mississippi State, at Oklahoma, and at Arkansas to finish out the year. I think we could do this however we want format wise, fellas, but this is coming up on the stretch where we started to pick, I think, some losses for Mizzou. You guys picked the South Carolina game. That one already happened, but Alabama, we all chalked up to a loss, I think, early going into that. We're obviously going to have a longer preview on Thursday, so we don't need to dive too deep now, but I think still feeling a loss in that game, given what Alabama just did against Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I unfortunately am still gonna pick a loss. Ty Simpson is real good, man. That passing offense
He's
is
real
just,
good at good.
I can't talk right now. I'm stammering through my words. I don't know why. I'm off my game. I think I need to be pulled before the first inning is over. On my Matthew Boyd era. No, Ty Simpson, that passing offense is very good. They controlled a lot of that game against Vanderbilt. I know the score at half was tied, and it doesn't look like a huge blowout on paper, but that was never a game I felt like Alabama was in any real trouble in. Even though Vanderbilt did kind of expose, I think, some holes in that Alabama run defense, which has really been a problem for them all year. That does play into Missouri's hands. It might come down to, and obviously we'll talk more about this on Thursday, it might come down to just more who can establish like their identity more in that game. I think you can definitely run on this Alabama team, but Alabama is probably going to have a very nice day passing against this Missouri secondary in its current state. It has not been a good unit, and I think that there's real trouble brewing there. So if Missouri can control the ball, shorten the game, have these long sustained drives, I think that would play more into their favor, because I think Alabama's going to be able to really run some quick strike offense if they want.
I'm with you there, Peyton. I think with when I was watching that game too, I haven't seen Kalen DeBoer look that confident in a while. I think Jack has seen it a lot better and seen him in person doing this, but just seeing him on the field, he was just confident, cool, calm, collected in a game where there's a lot of, maybe higher expectations for Vanderbilt to keep that one a little bit closer and make it more of a game. And even possibly some people seeing Vanderbilt upsetting Alabama at home. But I think that Florida State game was such a wake-up call just for like the entire season where DeBoer's trajectory was going after last year in his first year with Bama. And I think Alabama's just rolling right now, and it'd be kind of hard to stop them. And I don't think you knock on Mizzou either if Mizzou ends up with a loss here.
I think if you go back to the spread, I think a cover is a really good sign still for Mizzou at plus 4.5. I don't know.
See,
if they can keep it that close.
Like, I kind of go back and forth on that, because in 2023, all I wanted to see in the LSU game, which is what this one kind of feels like, was Missouri look like they belong, and they definitely did. That you could make the argument they probably should have won that game, but Jaden Daniels was his Heisman game, I think, against Missouri in 23. But I don't know if you can really afford moral victories in this season, because I mean, they are legitimately in a playoff race right now. And look, there is just no way, we can, whether it's right or wrong, there is zero chance Missouri makes the playoffs at any worse than 10-2. There is a 0% chance that happens. Other teams get the luxury of maybe going 9-3 and being in the conversation. That ain't going to be Missouri. So if you lose here, I mean, that's one of your 2 losses you can afford, and you still have 6 games to go. Now, if you go 5-1 again, I would say Missouri's probably still pretty comfortably in. I do think Missouri has the resume at this point to where any combo of 2 losses, no matter what they are, I don't think it's going to knock them out. But I don't know that I would be, I would be like, okay, well, they played fine, but at the same time, I wouldn't feel as okay about a loss this weekend as I did against LSU in 23, which I think is the closest thing I can equate to this game.
That's a very fair comparison and an assessment of the expectations of Mizzou in improving. So let's just go through it then. The loss. This is 7 games that Mizzou has remaining on its schedule. For you two, what is their record in that 7-game stretch? Who is the team you're the most concerned over? Perhaps we just talked about them. And who is the team you are the most confident right now, having seen all of these other 7 teams through 6 weeks of this season, that confident that Mizzou can beat? I also think we might have a consensus there, but I just am trying to be uniform.
Can we drop Arkansas from the most confident?
Sure, because that's fine. Okay, that makes it more interesting. Yes.
Arkansas, right. I think, needs to be a win no matter what. Interim staff, yes, Bobby Petrino runs a good offense. Taylon Green is talented. Certainly, Missouri could lose that game, but I do agree that's very easily the most winnable game.
Okay.
The most difficult, I do kind of think, is Alabama, because I think that's a very good team that kind of had an anomaly of a loss in week 1 against Florida State. I'll throw another game out there. Assuming Mateer's back, I think Oklahoma's probably your second most difficult, just by virtue. I think A&M's probably a better team, but by virtue of A&M being at home, I kind of have to go to Oklahoma being the second most difficult. I do think Alabama's the most difficult game left. Easiest game, I kind of like doom text. Gosh, Missouri has one quote unquote easy game left when Mississippi State kind of looked really good out of the gates, but that game's at home. Mississippi State wound up getting pretty handled by A&M, so that certainly probably is the second easiest. They are a much better team than they were a year ago, but it's at home. I still think Missouri's way better. A&M kind of gave you a blueprint, and A&M's defense has been kind of up and down this year. So there's that one. I'll throw Auburn in the mix too, but Mississippi State, I think, is the easiest non-Arkansas one.
Yeah, I think you're right on Mississippi State. I think there's a lot of storylines with that one too, with Kevin Coleman playing against his former team and possibly his last home college football game, just really depending on how the season ends. And with his Mississippi State team being a lot better with an Arizona State win under their belt, I'm intrigued by that one. I wonder how close it'll be. It's senior night, season finale, or home season finale. I think there's a lot of key parts that play into that one. I am very intrigued by the Auburn game too. Drinkwitz has been brought up Auburn multiple times this year as an environment that has been tough to play in. Of course, he coached there. He's played there before, or he's coached there before as well in 2022, which was a pretty unforgettable performance. I mean, I guess it's very memorable just on how that game ended.
Is it unforgettable in terms of how forgettable it is? Can that be a thing?
Yeah, I guess so. And just with how that game ended, I feel like a lot of people will, anytime they think of Auburn against Mizzou, that's a game that'll pop up. But I think, the toughest game for me, I'm kind of excluding Alabama in this one. I think it's Texas A&M. That is a home game. There's a lot of expectations. It could be a night game. It's going to be possibly like the 3 or 7 window. And I think if you get that 7-1, that could be a huge swing. I think that you look at last year in November, the game that was a huge swing was that Oklahoma one. This is a very different team. Oklahoma and Texas A&M are not comparable from Oklahoma last year to Texas A&M this year. But when you think about it, where that game lines up in the schedule, that one could really swing a certain way. And if Mizzou can steal a win against Texas A&M and a team that could possibly be undefeated by then, I think you're in a good spot moving forward when you're trying to look at your resume for the college football playoff.
I'll say on A&M as well, that's a game where we might legitimately see like 500 combined rushing yards between the two teams. A&M's offense moves me a lot. And here, the one thing I do think Missouri has going for them is I definitely think Drinkwitz knows now, like, okay, he's been pretty good the past few years about not making big headlines before games with any of his quips. He really put his foot in his mouth last year with this game. I don't know what prompted him to do the whole railing against the mere idea that Wegman was going to start, but it really made him look like a fool. And Brady Cook had the bad quote as well. I think Missouri is going to be completely boring in every single answer leading up to that game. I think that is honestly a game that they have circled because it was really damn embarrassing last year the way they lost that game. So I do agree though, Kenny, like on like pure talent wise, I definitely think A&M is more talented than Oklahoma, but I still think I'd probably give the edge to Oklahoma just by virtue of being on the road.
The defense is really good for Oklahoma. They are a scary
they shut out
bunch.
Kent State.
They're scary. Well, they also sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times. It's not.
That has a lot to do with Jackson Arnold.
Maybe.
I'll leave that at. I'm not impressed by Jackson Arnold.
Okay, so I'll tie these two questions together. What is Missouri's record in these 7 games, and does Missouri make the playoff? And you can say I wrote this
unfortunately,
down.
I'm going to be a downer, and I'm going to say they're going to go 4-3, and I don't think they will be in the playoffs. I think they lose Alabama. I think they lose Oklahoma. Man, we didn't even bring up Vanderbilt either. I mean, that's a really hard game. Vanderbilt is a good team.
I wrote that down as a zag for the I don't even want to like say this because I'm going to sound like an idiot, but because I picked them to lose to Auburn in the preseason, I decided to stand with it, and I was like, maybe I'll spin Vanderbilt as the most easiest game, but I couldn't do it. Mississippi State's a way easier game at home.
I'll say this. I'll just revise my predictions. I think Alabama is a loss. I think Auburn's a win. I think Auburn is real bad on offense, and I think Missouri should be able to stop them. I think Vanderbilt, I'll say a win for Vanderbilt. I'm going to say loss A&M because I think A&M is really good. I'll say win Mississippi State, loss Oklahoma, win Arkansas. That gets you at 9-3. I'd like to be completely wrong about this, and I will also mention if Mizzou beats Alabama, I'm going to genuinely it will probably make me look like a fool. I'm going to consider playoffs almost a back pocket deal.
Yeah,
and I'm going to say they should
playoff
be pushing,
if they win. Yeah,
they should be pushing for the SEC title game if they win Alabama. But for now, I'm going to stick conservatively because it's just a tough last 7 games.
Where I kind of go with this too. I mean, what a tough first SEC road game too. I know I just brought it up to a Drinkwood's kind of praising the Auburn environment and playing at Jordan Hare. But that's a first road game, and you have a quarterback who hasn't, I believe, Bo Previewer probably hasn't left Columbia, Missouri since the start of the summer. He probably went somewhere for the bye week. But this is the guy he'll have his first SEC road environment, and he gets to play in Auburn. I think it's a tough one, but if you do come off, a loss to Alabama, I think there's a lot of things they'll try to right the ship and try to fix things once they get to the heart of SEC play in those next couple of games. But I think I'm with Payton. I'll just kind of agree with those 3 games being the losses for Mizzou, and you finish 9-3, and you get a fine bowl game in late December, early January.
I went 4-3. I am sticking with my prediction that they're going to lose to Auburn, as bad as that continues to look. I have wins over Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, and Oklahoma, and I have losing to Alabama, Auburn, and A&M, and the win over Arkansas is the 4th one. But yeah, we could all easily be wrong. I think it's good to talk about that fluidity. The SEC is in such a weird place this year. I think it's going to be interesting. I do have 2 more fun prompts for you guys. One does relate to the Mizzou schedule. I wrote down a bunch of names. I texted you guys about this as well. The best NFL draft prospects this year that Mizzou might face. Do you want me to give you the names and you can riff on any of them you want? I just looked at 2 mock drafts and just picked 7 guys who got picked in the first round.
I'm fine with that. I said Ruben Bain on Miami when Mizzou has to play them in the college football playoff.
That we can have if Mizzou makes the playoff, I will bring this conversation back up. We'll look at their path, and then we can have another discussion. But in terms of their confirmed opponents, these were the names I wrote down. These guys were all mocked in the first round of 2 NFL drafts that I looked up. Caden Proctor from Alabama, Keldrick Falk from Auburn, defensive tackle. Auburn had 3 offensive linemen on here. Xavier Chaplin from Auburn is an offensive lineman. Connor Liu, another one I saw. LT Overton, an edge rusher from Alabama. John Mateer, Oklahoma quarterback. Quincy
Not
Rhodes
him.
Jr., a defensive tackle from Arkansas, and Cassius Howell, an edge from Texas A&M. Were all names I saw.
Howell's a good one. Proctor's a good one. I think it's probably Falk.
I
Falk
think
is a
it's Falk.
monster,
Yeah.
legitimately. Obviously, we're a couple years out, but I mean, guys like Cam Coleman and Ryan Williams are in there as well.
Mario Craver too, even though he's a little
Yes.
bit smaller. He's speedy.
Yeah, there's a lot of no off days in the SEC, and now we're gonna have to see Mizzou play 9 of these teams going forward. But I'd go Falk. I think Proctor's also a good one. They're starting to turn him into a gadget player.
Yeah,
which is pretty funny.
got a handoff yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, so that's fun. DeBoer seems like he's really starting to win that fan base back over.
My pick is Falk. That guy's been a freak for Auburn for many years. And then just quick, the most surprising thing you've seen within the SEC so far in terms of how you looked at this conference preseason. I wrote down just a couple things. Arch in Texas struggling, Mississippi State on the rise, South Carolina struggling. Maybe something else. What surprised you guys the most when you looked at things preseason? You're like, wow, that has not panned out the way we thought.
I'm pretty stunned by how South Carolina has been. I really did. I was all in on them being a playoff team. I thought Lenore Sellers was my Heisman pick. I thought the ceiling, yes, they lost so much on defense, but I mean, I'll give credit to South Carolina. They just recruit some crazy athletes on the defensive side of the ball in particular, and the offensive side. I mean, you guys got guys like Nick Harbor, who still is basically just a track star, not a receiver, and Lenore Sellers, who, when at his best, I think is the highest ceiling in the country. But that just hasn't worked out at all for them. I'm a little surprised at how good Vanderbilt has looked. I thought they'd be a good team again, but they still, even though they lost to Alabama, I still think that's probably a bona fide top 25 team. Last one I'll throw out is Ole Miss. I mean, I really did think they were kind of going to take a step back. I thought they'd have a nice 8-4 campaign, kind of like the one that ended with Lane Kiffin taking the Texas Bowl completely serious a few years ago that Kenny was at. But I just, wow, Trinidad Chambliss, I mean, that I did know about him. It was he was a big deal at Ferris State, but he wasn't even the starter. And I mean, now he's in the Heisman conversation. And I'll be honest, if I had to pick the best team, the team I think is the best in the SEC right now, I would say Ole Miss. I think the offense is as good as it's ever been under Lane, and I think they finally have a defense that they can really rely on to make big stops.
I'll go different ways then. I do agree with a lot of the ones you said. Payton and Vanderbilt is one that came to mind. I think LSU. I think we'll have a better understanding of what LSU actually is after the South Carolina game. You lose at home or at Ole Miss. You barely beat Clemson, which, I mean, not really looking like the best outcome. You beat Florida by 10, and Florida's been very up and down. I know they have the win against Texas, but I think after maybe the South Carolina and Vanderbilt games, maybe there is more of an identity for LSU, but it's not a very good one right now. I thought it'd be a little bit stronger to start the year. I was looking through just some other ones. I don't know what to make of Tennessee. I
was going to mention them. I didn't think they were going to be good at all.
And I don't even know if you can say that Tennessee's all that good. Aguiar had a great opener as a powerful quarterback against Syracuse, and they won that game 45-26. You lose a thriller against Georgia, a game you probably should have won 44-41. You only beat Mississippi State by a touchdown your last time out. So I am just intrigued to see how in overtime. I'm intrigued to see how Tennessee performs kind of moving forward because they got Arkansas next, but Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida. I mean, it's a pretty easy SEC slate, and you have Vanderbilt to end the year.
I think maybe mine might be that Billy Napier wasn't the first coach fired, but Pittman was second, if not first, on that list. So that's not overly stunning. And now he's just bought himself another, a little bit of a longer leash after beating Texas. But I will throw out maybe for myself, maybe I overlooked Mateer a little bit. I didn't think Oklahoma would start this well, and I think we'll have to see, especially like they don't have a super good running game, but I think with how good Mateer has been, that's been a little bit of a surprise. But otherwise, I think what you guys said, I'm more intrigued by. Chambliss, I did not see that coming with Ole Miss. That's been incredibly impressive. And yeah, Texas, I don't know. I was never all in on Arch, and I kind of had thought they lost too much defensive talent from last year. What they're doing doesn't overly shock me. He's just not ready. It's a bit of a bummer, but yeah, there you go. SEC.
I will say, I mean, if he's not ready now, I mean, when can they wait for him?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
year
don't know.
3. I mean,
Yeah.
that's people are like he could come back for a second year. I don't think there's a world that exists where he's at Texas next year.
I
He's
agree.
either turned it up and gone to the NFL draft, or he is out of Texas for his last year of college football. I don't think there's any way he's back at Texas next year.
I agree with that. It's that has been a wild storyline, but I'm not overly shocked by that. You know what? Screw it. If Mizzou doesn't make the SEC championship game, who does? This might be the hardest question you get.
Right now, my prediction for the SEC title game, I think, is legitimately Ole Miss, Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think
which
that's
is
mine
a
too.
very, very weird. Like that's one. Like, did you know a few years ago in the ACC title game, there was a Wake Forest Pitt ACC title game? I'm talking this decade.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's
was that Hartman and Pickett?
Yes, I think it was Hartman Pickett. It was definitely Pickett because that's where the fake slide rule was, I think. But that's like what Ole Miss A&M would be, basically. Like, obviously, those two teams are always pretty good. You can make the jokes about A&M always being 8-4, but they are a pretty solid program. But that would be a very unique matchup. Oklahoma's obviously still impressed me too, but that was the other team I considered. But I'll go A&M and Ole Miss right now.
You got to pick Kenny.
I'm with Payton there. Maybe there's a
think I
world
am,
where A&M loses a couple games or loses a game or two, and you go Alabama, Ole Miss. I think that one would be kind of fun too.
That would also be fun.
Those two teams don't play each other, so I think that's a positive.
Yeah. I'll go them, and then maybe a dark horse LSU shout. Is their schedule?
Yeah,
easy?
those plucky dark horse underdogs, the LSU Tigers.
Oh, Vandy A&M, Bama stretch, and they play at Oklahoma. Never mind, I'm out. I'll go with what you guys said. I think Alabama, Ole Miss will be my formal pick. All right, there you go. There's some SEC roundups. We'll tweet the tier list. I have to. I'll haggle with Payton and Kenny off air. We have some tiers to arrange. I have a rough template, but for now, we will finish up the show. Kick it to quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. We'll finish out the show. We have the Daily Dozens back, or well, kind of, based on the YouTube. Kenny,
The Daily 8.
The Daily 8.
I don't know why it's called the Daily Dozen. There's 9 questions.
I figured you
Yeah.
did.
Do you know why it's called that?
Before.
No.
I don't remember ever addressing
Figured
this.
you being a barstool guy.
There's a word for that.
A stoolie.
There's only 9, or it's only 8 today. The 9th one, the middle one, which is usually the face swap, is not there, which I guess is good because
Good for the podcast listeners.
Yep. NFL top left. From age 35 to 37, fullback Lorenzo Neal made 3 straight Pro Bowls while playing for this AFC franchise. Is this the Chargers?
All right,
Is it the Chargers?
His son went to my high school.
Jets,
Yeah,
maybe?
he has a son. That's the one I know, and I think he plays for the Steelers, which is why I had the Steelers in my brain. I think you're right, Kenny.
Correct. Yeah, so one of
Nice.
his sons went to my high school. He ended up at Purdue. He was a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah, it's like
offensive-
Marvin Leal.
No, I might have another son, but this one didn't make it to the NFL. If he did, he didn't play very long.
Okay. I'm gonna look this up.
NBA. Who is the only current NBA head coach who has won the NBA Finals MVP as a player?
Good luck, Jack. Okay, I was thinking of DeMarvin Leal. Okay, so there's no relation there.
It's not Jason Kidd, is it? No.
Might be Jason Kidd.
Did Jason Kidd win Finals MVP when was he on that Nets team? I just go with it. My brain isn't working.
Incorrect. We're not gonna have a double dip.
I think it was Chauncey Billups with the Blazers. I'll look it up later. All right, keep going.
MLB. What team were Derek Jeter and the Yankees facing during the infamous flip moment in Game 3 of the 2001 ALDS? I think I know this.
The A's or the Orioles? Which one?
I think it's the A's.
I think it's the A's.
Correct.
Yeah,
Science.
The Orioles was when Cust fell down. That's what I'm thinking of.
The substance known as graphite consists solely of the pure form of this element in a layered and crystallized form. Lead?
Oh, yeah. I have no idea, dude.
Oh, because when you get like graphite, for your pencils, people say like, oh, can I get some lead? Like, was that never a thing like people said?
No, that was a thing people said, but I thought it was just literally lead.
Yeah. Snacks and candy, brownie pumpkins.
Literal lead. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Apple cinnamon donut sticks, fall party cakes, pumpkin delights, and pumpkin spice rolls are seasonal items offered by this snack cake brand.
There's
there's
no
Debbie or something.
Yeah, that's a good guess. Or Hostess.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't need any of those.
You want me to go Debbie, or I might be Hostess.
I feel like Hostess. Those are the generic names that Hostess gives stuff.
Incorrect.
Damn.
If it's gonna be Little Debbie, I'm gonna be so mad at you too.
Oh, this is a timely. Produced by the Manning brothers, Glenn Powell is currently starring in the sports comedy Chad Powers on this streaming platform.
Hulu.
Movies. Ali Larder played an office temp who tries to seduce her boss, played by Idris Elba, in this 2009 psychological thriller that also starred Beyonce.
I've never heard of this.
I'm just going to point out, I would have one answer right on these if you two weren't here. This is impossible right now for me.
I know like a similar movie to this, but it's not Idris Elba.
I've never heard of this movie. Beyonce? I didn't even know Beyonce.
Wasn't Beyonce in an Austin Powers movie?
I feel like I've known she's done cameos, but not like as an actual, like a supporting. Like I feel like I've only heard her like playing herself or something, but maybe that's.
The soundtrack from this 2000 film that starred George Clooney won Album of the Year at the 44th Grammy Awards.
Is it
Ocean's
11? That came out in 2000? I feel like that was older than 2000, but just do it.
That's not it.
Yeah.
All right, so we can't like finish it. So we have to like look up these questions on our own.
So current head coach to win Finals MVP as a player. Hold on.
Steve Kerr.
That was another guess I had, but he didn't win Finals MVP.
Did Joe Mazzulla win?
Chauncey Billups.
It was Chauncey Billups. Damn it. That was my other thought. That was my other guess.
Joe Mazzulla won Final Four MVP. It was
Carbon.
No, he didn't. Carbon.
For the graphite question. For the snacks question, it is Little Debbie.
Little Debbie.
For the movie question, it's Obsessed.
That's like relatively new, 2009. It did not have good reviews.
16 years ago.
I think this is gonna make
that
me
movie's
mad.
old enough to drive.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
I don't care. Did never
That's
happen. Oh, John Turturro's in that, Kenny.
All right. My Tiger in the Wild.
He doesn't remember who John Turturro is. That's okay. Yeah, give us your Tiger in the Wild, Kenny.
This is a fun one. My Tiger in the Wild goes to Torrance Watson, former Missouri guard. He's from Whitfield in St. Louis. That's where he played. I got back from pro day yesterday, and I'll get to pro day in a second later in quick hits. And I was out with some buddies. I was out with my roommate, Aaron, out with my buddy, JP, I went to elementary school with. Another story I could tell you another day about how I saw him again. But we went out to watch the Texas-Florida game. I actually walked into the wrong bar, I'll tell you that. And this guy was just throwing horns down at me. Like, I just had a Texas shirt on, just like support my friend.
Well,
and he was just like this the entire time.
I mean, can you blame him? You're wearing
No. I was just like, I didn't go there. And he's like, it's okay. I just like to give people crap. And I thought it was funny, but like I walked in and I was like, where the heck is my friend? And like, I realized I was at the wrong Rays. Like there's multiple places called Rays. And so I went to the wrong one and then I drove like 15 minutes to get to the game. And I didn't get to see, I only got to see like the last like 10 minutes of the game because of that. Cause we were just like kept driving around trying to find this place.
Did you miss the Ryan Wingo throw?
No, I did get to see that. I was at home when that happened. So I went to
Dime.
Chick-fil-A after, and I ran into Torrance Watson. I was sitting there in my booth with Aaron and my friend JP, and I was like, that's a former Mizzou basketball player that just walked in. I think that's Torrance Watson. Like, I recognized him immediately. He looks older than he does in this photo. His hair is a little bit longer. I don't think his beard might be a little bit different too. But I saw him and I like had to look him up because I wanted to see like what he looks like now. I was like, wow, that's Torrance Watson. So he was with like his family, his 2 kids, and I believe his wife, and they were just sitting there. And like, I think some of them walked away for a second. I just went, Torrance? And he turns around and I'm like, Torrance Watson? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, like we loved watching you when I was in college. And we were talking about the 2019-2020 season, that Auburn game that Mizzou won at home. And he was, sounded like he was in good spirits. He loves it over there in China, he said. I looked it up. I mean, he's been playing really well. But he said it's very cheap over there too, which I learned earlier in the day how cheap it is to live overseas in some of those countries compared to here. And he said it's just been going well, and he's going to head back in a couple of weeks. And he said, thank you for the support. And I said, thanks for the college memories. Because Payton and I sat like during the COVID games. We sat behind his parents a couple times. I remember like specifically the Ole Miss game during that COVID season. We sat behind them. So he was always someone I really liked. And I texted with Gabe DeArmond after, because we were talking about 2019, 2020 players. Like Axel Congo was in one of my classes, and I'm talking to him about that. And then he was like, that was a dark era. And I was like, respect Evan Yerkes. That's what I said to him. And then I texted him, and I was like, I should have said Torrance Watson, because I ran into him. And then he was like, he's like, I remember when he committed, so many people were excited just because he was a St. Louis guy and he was staying home, and ended up having a pretty decent career at Elon after he left Missouri.
Very fun.
That is fun. I mean, I remember, like, I believe if that was his mom we were sitting behind, she had like a really cool like jersey, I think, of his high school team. Was it?
I think it was a split one, right?
Yeah, it was like split between his high school team and the Missouri side.
Nice.
That was pretty cool.
Those are always cool. Nice, Kenny. That is the truest form of a tiger in the wild that we can have. You literally
quite literally, you found a former tiger
in the wild.
Out in the wild. Like, that's pretty much.
I mean, of all places too. Like, I go to this Chick-fil-A very often. I'd go so often I got a free meal when I was there, so my meal was free. And I was just like, the odds of just running into a former Mizzou player that was like my favorite when I was in college was pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Payton.
Tough following that up. I'll go with Max Scherzer, who is in the Major League Baseball postseason, but he is not on the Blue Jays ALDS roster, unfortunately. Still going to be there. Blue Jays already up 1-0 in the series. I didn't pick them to win that series, I will say, but very good start for them. Looking for I think it would just be his second ring, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What was the first one, Kenny?
Yep. Thank you.
Oh,
I mean, I would have, if they make it to the ALCS in the World Series, I would have put it past the Blue Jays, add them to that roster and drop a reliever. And you're in a best-of-5 series. You don't need as much starting pitching depth as you might when you're in a 7-game like the ALCS in the World Series.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense. Yeah, hopefully he can make another roster, or if the Blue Jays can go on a run, maybe Scherzer gets a ring. My Tiger in the Wild is going to be Coach Dickey Nutt. He was introduced to the Arkansas State Hall of Fame recently, so congrats to Dickey Nutt. I do have his numbers. I don't think the record is necessarily why he got in. He led them to a NCAA tournament appearance in 1999. He does have a 189 and 187 overall record, but coached there for 13 seasons. I mean, he kind of helped them grow as a program there in the 80s and 90s. So, good for Coach Dickey Nutt to get the recognition. I feel like we keep coming. We always circle back to him time and time again, and it feels very grateful that Mizzou has him on staff, a guy with his kind of experience and time spent in this game. So great to see him. Shout out the Mizzou Arkansas State connections just run so deep. It's quite fun.
Yeah, Northern Illinois, go Daddy Bowl. Shout out to anyone that remembers that.
Yeah, wow, good callback.
No, but Dickey Nutt, good to see him get this honor. It's good to have him back on the on the full-time staff again for Mizzou. I know they still leaned on him heavily, like for things while he had to take his year off. Or was it 2 years? Yeah, it was 2 years off, wasn't it? or maybe it was just one. I don't remember.
think
I think it was
just the
late
one. There's-
into the down season for Missouri.
Yeah.
And they lost all the SEC games.
Yeah.
My one thing, I haven't been able to put this anywhere. I think I dropped it on the message board once, or maybe told you guys. He's really good friends with Curtis Looper. Like, they are very close. I even saw it at the homecoming game. Curtis Looper came over to the basketball guys who always stand in the same corner of the end zone with their recruits, and he dapped him up. And they've been kind of, open on Twitter. I think, just like, shouting each other out when they have a big moment. I haven't seen Curtis Looper even on Twitter for his commitment for landing TJ Hodges. So I think, maybe if he sees this or he's reached out to Coach Nutt already, I think that's pretty cool. There's a good overlap between those two staffs because it's a very good era of Mizzou athletics. And I think one of the big things that you've seen is a lot of support between the coaching staffs. And Dennis Gates made that clear at Pro Day that, you're not, when they bring people on campus, they love showing them the other athletics to show them how Mizzou is on an upswing and not just basketball and football, but other parts of the athletics department as well.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have all of your sports be good for recruiting, no doubt. Headline. Speaking of Pro Day, Kenny, your headline.
Yeah, my headline is Mizzou Pro Day Notebook. Dennis Gates recaps first time event. I went to this.
Not a very well written headline. You should have picked something
Okay.
else.
Thank you. Yeah, SEO wise, it worked.
Hey.
I will say
engine optimization,
Bang.
folks.
That's
Booyah.
You can always throw that back in the face of any person who decides to cramp on your writing. If it gets the clicks.
Yeah, I don't
good
like
article.
doing that, but I just wanted to use that there
You do
in
that
this
a lot.
moment. I will say I was with Drew King and Gabe DeArmond, and we were talking about it. This event was probably more focused for people who like take videos of players and are posting it, like the media personalities, not necessarily just journalists. I sat there and watched part of it. I missed like 45 minutes of it because I was trying to get everything up for TJ Hodges' commitment. So that was the one tough like overlap with that, is that it happened at the same time. He brought up, Trent Burns is still progressing well. When I was walking by, he was in one of those like zero gravity running mills. Have you ever seen those?
Oh,
where they
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
tie
yeah.
you in, and so you're not putting pressure on your feet when you're running.
Yeah.
It helps a lot to like keep you. It helps a lot with like rehab, and so he was still in the boot, so he didn't participate in this. But a couple like notes that stood out to me. Anna Boateng looks incredible, like physical wise. Like I heard Kyle Smith-Peters said he looks like a semi truck with his shoulders. He is just a very strong guard. So I'm very intrigued to see if he does kind of play a little bit more this year in some of those roles that we were talking about, getting on the court sooner. T.O. Barrett was bringing up the ball a good amount. I didn't see him make too many shots, but I did, hear some other people say that they did like his shot selection. I just saw this one fade away. I was like, it probably wasn't the best look. But I thought defensively wise, he was getting a lot of praise. Ryan Sharbaugh, one of the assistants, was very high on T.O., and that team that they had in the 5v5 looked pretty good. I did get to talk to a scout. I was working on my some of my football recruiting when I was sitting at this table, and he was asking me just about, Tamar Bates and Caleb Grill, and he works for the Magic, and he said, Caleb Grill came down, and they really liked his shot and the sneaky athleticism this past offseason when he came down for a workout. And we didn't talk about it. Caleb Grill was waived by the Bulls recently in the past week. That same scout told me that he watched Anthony Robinson in high school. So that was, a name that he was kind of asking me about too. Of course, we already know, scouts are looking at Ant. That is not a new thing, but I thought that was intriguing that, this guy watched Ant when he was in high school because he used to coach at Mount Verde in Florida. And so the AAU circuit would kind of overlap because that's where he was playing, was more down in South Florida, although being from the northern part of the state. So there was just kind of the standouts there, and they really liked the event, and there was a lot of scouts in attendance too. And I thought it was a good one, but I think it was more directed towards they're just trying to, get some more eyes on the program. And I think that was a good good thing to do before the season starts. Open the hood and look under, and that's what Dennis said.
The only thing that kept sticking with me, the Magic should sign Caleb Grill. The Magic need 3-point shooting. That's been their playoff crutch for the last whatever. That's a more nuanced thing. But if he was looking at Caleb Grill, that Caleb Grill's a perfect fit for what they need. Whatever. That's cool. It's good news on Anwar Boateng in particular. Kenny with
Nicholas Randall too. He looks the part. I don't necessarily know how much he's going to play because there's a pretty deep 4s and 3s there for Missouri right now. I'm not gonna say deep as in extremely great talent, but there's very serviceable players in those areas that could play. I don't necessarily know I think he's definitely more ready than Aaron Rowe when you just kind of look at them and where they kind of stand against their competition. But I mean, they call him a Butta, and he is he looks the part. I was looking at him there's no way this how does he already look like he's already filled into his frame that much?
as a lit nickname. Did you see any Jaden Stone stuff?
Very
Anything from him?
smooth.
Yeah.
I'm not a scout, and I'm not going to overplay anything that I saw. Like someone changed their shooting, but I thought he looked really strong out there. I thought he looked smooth, and I don't necessarily know what held him out in West Virginia. If I think he did have like a pretty serious injury, but he looked very comfortable out there. Just in the kind of stretches I saw in those 5-on-5s.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. Yeah, that's an exciting event, I think, for them to do. In terms, like you said, it accomplishes what it's supposed to accomplish in terms of give some people some things to maybe overreact to and consume in this final month before the season starts. So, which is on November 3rd, not October.
They do
4th.
have like a game this month. I mean,
They do. Kansas State
in an exhibition. Please stream that somewhere, somebody. Please.
I wouldn't hold out your hope. I wouldn't hold out.
I
hope
know,
that
but
happening.
that's just there's no. Why not?
Because people like you'll overreact.
You're damn right I'll overreact. I want to watch basketball again.
What could be the best thing that could come out of that Kansas State stream?
Missouri wins by 30 and they make every single 3-pointer.
But who, like, what about a player? Like who do you want to win that Kansas State game?
Well, I mean, Honor Boateng being like as advertised here would be a ceiling raiser. I mean, he was a top 50 or so recruit. He's a guy that obviously just I don't think was quite ready last year. But I mean, up until Jason Crow Jr. and Tony Bryant committed, I mean, he was the highest rated recruit Dennis Gates has gotten. So that certainly would be one that I'd like to see win the exhibition.
There's going to be 3 Father Tolton graduates in that game. It's kind of interesting.
Is Xavier Wilson?
Yeah, he's at Kansas State, freshman.
Who's the third? And then there's Rowe.
Porter.
Oh, Porter, right? Yeah.
He actually finished at Tolton.
I did. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
There you have it. Payton, your headline.
My headline this week is going to be number 7 Penn State searching for answers after loss to UCLA. Kenny, if you could scroll down, I'll give credit to the fine author that wrote this article. It's Paolo Uggetti. So Paolo wrote this article, not really just for the story itself, but just for kind of a crazier day in college football. I mean, Penn State, I don't even know where you go after this one. Felt like they kind of came out completely deflated after the loss to Oregon and just didn't look interested in this game at all until they realized, oh my gosh, we might actually lose. And by then it was too late. They were down 20 at one point in this one. So you had them go down. You had Texas go down. You had a bunch of teams in front of Missouri go down. So Missouri could be we're recording this before the AP poll and coaches poll come out, but Missouri could be in for a very nice bump in the rankings.
Yeah, this was pretty insane to watch. I was kind of half watching, tapping into the score. It really did go like that. Everyone's kind of laughing like, oh, look at UCLA. Like they became, I think entering the game, they were the only FBS team that never held the lead or something. I saw that stat. And then, everyone's like, oh, look at them. And you figure Penn State would storm back. And no, it's such a bad loss that everyone's like, how did Oregon not beat this team by more on the road? Which is, it just says a lot. Mizzou, I think one thing we can come to a consensus on, fellas, Mizzou won the bye week. If there is a winning the bye week, I think Mizzou did it. I think this is how it happens.
Other than Alabama looking pretty good. I was pretty impressed by Bama.
Yeah. But who didn't look great in some clutch moments was Pavia, who Mizzou has to go play too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Spin zone.
Transitive property wise, this is a huge one for one of those calculators that tells you if your team won the championship at the end of the year. Because of the teams that UCLA that have beaten UCLA, I think there's a lot of overlap with some other teams, especially when UCLA beats Penn State. So this is a huge one for that calculator, in my opinion.
UCLA beat Penn State, which beat
New Mexico beat UCLA.
New Mexico beat UCLA. New Mexico.
Michigan beat Michigan beat New Mexico.
Okay.
Oklahoma beat Michigan.
Okay.
If Missouri beats Oklahoma, Missouri would
better
be
than
able to beat Penn
UCLA?
State, I guess. Yeah. I don't-
Where are we going with that? All right. No,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah. Big time weekend of college football, and with all the chaos, I'm pretty glad Mizzou was on by. My headline of the week reads as follows. I forgot to put it in front of me. Number 21, Mizzou volleyball corrals the Razorbacks in SEC home opener sweep. I did volleyball last show, and I'm following up on it. I said Mizzou was trying to get their first SEC win. They got it, and they did it in the battle line battle against Arkansas. I've become a bigger volleyball fan just in general this fall, and so I'm excited to follow Mizzou for the rest of the season. 45 kills. Arkansas only had 34. Kaylin Alexander from Mizzou led the way with 16. Janet Demarius had 11. Also, by the way, Mizzou's now 7-3 in the last 10 battle line volleyball matchups against Arkansas. 17-6 overall. So owning the Razorbacks on the court and on the gridiron.
Is Arkansas good at anything right now?
I'm really not sure because they don't seem too great at volleyball.
Poking the bear. I don't know if you guys have seen like those videos from the athletic director. He took a shot at Missouri, I think, this fall, talking about how many
he was talking
national
about
championships
friends up north or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good at staging coups against their head coach
Yeah, I suppose.
for football.
They'll probably be good at basketball.
I'll say this as well, because I like looking at this after the fact. It's good that like a lot of people still liked Sam Pittman. There was still a lot of players like really upset about the fire, and it just really didn't work out as a head coach. But a lot of schools want him as an offensive line coach moving forward. I think like LSU fans, South Carolina fans were calling for their teams to hire him. So it is good that he still has options out there and people still like him. And it's like it just didn't work out as a head coach. It happens for a lot of coaches.
He can be Brandon Jones' assistant if he wants.
Yeah, I was
going
to say.
There already is an assistant.
Well,
Jack Abercrombie.
He can be the second assistant.
Assistant to the Jack Abercrombie.
Because I don't think Sam Pittman would be doing anything else. I don't think he's going to coach cornerbacks or anything.
Special teams.
Why don't we move on?
Do you have a joke to finish?
I sure do. This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, why are pigs bad drivers?
I don't know.
Because they hog the horn too much.
Oh, hog the road.
Well, they hog the road. Yes, Jack got it right. Good job, Jack.
Kenny set me up. That was
get anything
credit
out
to
of
Kenny.
that.
Good job. Also, Jack. That's a good point, Payton. I think Arkansas is going to be pretty damn good at men's basketball.
I said that. I said they'd be good at basketball.
I said that's a good point.
But they're not going to be that good. They're going to be fine. They'll be okay.
Trevin's still there. All right, that'll do it for the unwritten rule. Yeah, I know. We will be back. We will have some guests to preview the Alabama game.
Trevin Brazile still in college, but
I know it is. It's pretty ludicrous.
Go away.
Is Dane Danger still in college?
No, he's got to be gone.
Friend of the program, Dane Danger. He's not actually our friend, but we all love.
What's up, Danger?
We all love Dane Danger.
Was that good?
The Danger Zone.
Danger Zone. We'll be entering the Danger Zone on Thursday.
No, he's
Friday.
a Miami Heat forward now. He's gone.
That's right. He is gone. Okay. We'll be entering the Danger Zone on Friday when we preview the Alabama game. So we'll have some guests for that. Stay tuned. This has been the Unwritten Rule. Thank you, FanDuel. We will see you next time.